But that in itself was a great learning experience because it taught me to be a lot more dynamic with how I was planning to include more contingency. It wouldn't really have been something that I've ever had to feature into any of the planning I've been doing. The technology and the people skills have always been there, so it really does probably would factor in more to the analysis stage. You'd have to do an analysis of the skills that are there and the skills that are going to be required and make sure there's that same match. And where there isn't, then build it in. So that's all part of project management and definitely one that I'll be incorporating going forward. And then the final challenge there was the many to many relationships. So this was completely in the technical level. Like we never want many recipes having many ingredients. So the workaround for that, as you can see in the snippet there, is the through function, the through recipe ingredients. So you have many recipes with a many to one relationship with recipe ingredients, and then recipe ingredients with a one to many relationship to ingredients, and then that way they're able to have a many to many ipso facto sort of relationship through the secondary one. So being able to do stuff like that wasn't really something that I'd ever used before, but again, just great to get that understanding, to get that practice with it, and to be able to manipulate going the code around that. Um, One of the key drawbacks from this was that the amount of time I spent on working this out reduce the build time that I was able to have. And in the end, unfortunately, some of the functions were not able to be completed on time. So again, this would filter back into the planning that I would just need to allow for that greater build times, factor in for the upskill, and yeah, hopefully going forward, this won't be an issue. So then I'm going to show you the testing that I did. So testing, as Dijkstra so kindly pointed out, shows the presence, not the absence of bugs. So whenever we're testing, we can't be 100% sure that everything has been accounted for. So it's just it's good to be testing. Like there's a saying I've heard: "In God we trust, and everything else we test." And that was certainly the case during this here project. So the first one that I did here was the unit testing. So we're just going to pull this up. So these were just done on the initial components that were built, just to make sure that they were working correctly at the time. So it was quite an easy enough test to be done. It was actually all contained within Rails. I've just recorded it here just so that I have documentation of the actual testing itself. So as you can see there, the description and the tests were completed twice, once in pre-production and once in production. So I would record the number of components created, the number of tests completed, each over each week, and then at the end of that, I would always make sure that before I finished production cycle or pre-production cycle, that everything was test completed. So that was one of the big delays that for you can see here for large periods of time I wasn't actually testing that much compared to other periods because this was the period where I was upskilling and actually being able to learn the key requirements that I needed to bring the project forward. So yeah, it was definitely a good learning there to see exactly how your testing should be done. So some of the other testing that I have here is the integration testing, which is testing of the functions. So integration testing is just checking that the functions that we currently had working whenever we create a new function are working to the same level of as they were previously, and it was just sort of making sure that everything integrates into the system correctly, and that it doesn't adversely impact something that's already working. And again, that was just recorded as I went along. The final testing here, this one's a bit different. This is the user acceptance testing. So UAT is actually a full system test by end users. So this introduced a great feedback loop into my project. I was able to get the opinion of outside people and to see exactly how they felt that the system was running. So you can see here, I had testing in pre-production. I had two testers, and then I completed my production cycle today, and I had one final tester come in to help me here. So this was actually just done with questions like this, where it was laid out. The first one was on system functionality, so this was just based around the actual system itself to make sure that everything was correct, and uh, it allowed me to get good feedback there. And then the other one was on the end user performance. So this was like a lot broader, letting them put in some of their own um, letting them put in some of their own opinion on it, and it really just did help give me that confidence in what I was doing. There was sometimes there was things that I assumed that would just be understood straight away. But it was great to actually get this outside opinion, because some of the stuff that I assumed wasn't actually immediately obvious to those testers. So that allowed me to take that like. But I think there's something here. Boom. Yeah, like it's yeah, there was too many search functions. So again, I had like multiple search functions across the application, depending on where you wanted to search, be it cuisine, be it ingredients, be it like description, whatever. And the guys said no, like just give us one search function that can search in many places, because otherwise it was getting a bit too cluttered. So it was just something that I wouldn't have picked up on beforehand, and getting that back. Was just yeah, it was really interesting just to see again another one, ingredients not stored in any order. So one of the things I did there was created a sort on the ingredients, like very simple, like something that I just wouldn't have picked up on initially building it. It just didn't cross my mind. But as soon as you get the feedback, it's very easy to implement it, and that's really important to get that outside feedback loop, just to make sure that what you're doing is as required. So yeah, that really completed the testing. Like the test scripts here were completed at the end by whoever was testing them, and just the actual results. So you can see here that the testing was all done correctly. So after that, I think the next step is then just to have a look at the actual application itself. So as it says here, welcome to Chef Cloud. Oh, well, here it is here, sorry. So the application, this is the homepage. As you can see here, we have featured recipes. It's quite clear, like the recipes, they're done on a function, so it changes which are actually being shared each day. And you can just click into the recipe and you can see more about it. Um, the application follows a similar sort of branding the whole way through. We have the Chef Cloud logo quite clearly at the top. So the logo is a combination of the chef and the cloud. You've got the cloud computing combined with the chef's hat to give you this catchy logo that really stands out. And then you can go into the about page. Oh, that's why I haven't spun up the application. Okay, so this is the AWS. So AWS is exactly where the application was created. So all I need to do here is load up my application with minus B. Oh, sorry. So, oh, so that's why the application wasn't running. I hadn't spun it up. So yeah, the AWS gives you the actual application. It's where I built the application. This is Amazon Web Services. So this is the whole application is contained in this Chef Cloud folder here. So it just shows you exactly what you're doing. And then yeah, if I just refresh that now, the application, yeah, there she is. She's going now. So yeah, this is the about page, a bit of information about it. Again, keeping up um with the same background, etc. So yeah, it's just nice to have that going. Um, and then yeah, the colors and all that are there.